Ah, my dear children, come closer, sit by me. Let me tell you a story from my younger days, a story that still makes my bones shiver whenever I think of it. You see, there are houses in this world that carry secrets, and secrets are heavier than stones. Some are so heavy they bend the walls, twist the air, and curse the ground they stand on. This was long, long ago, when I was just a young bride, not much older than some of you are now. My husband had taken me to stay at his uncle's house in a small town far away from our own. It was a grand old house, large and sprawling, with wooden floors that groaned like tired men, and windows that seemed to watch you as you passed by. But the strangest thing about that house was the room upstairs. No one went inside. No one even touched the door. And yet, it was always there, lurking, pressing against the silence of the halls like a heavy shadow. The uncle's wife, a sharp woman with eyes like needles, gave me one rule on my very first night. Child, you may roam the house as you like, but never ever open the upstairs room. Not at night, not in the day, not ever. Do you understand? I nodded, though my heart immediately began to itch with curiosity. Why would anyone forbid a simple room? Was it a storeroom? A library? Perhaps a chamber of valuables? But I noticed something. Whenever that room was mentioned, the uncle would grow pale. Even the servants avoided looking at the door when they passed. And at night, when the lanterns were out and the wind howled through the cracks, I would hear it. Soft noises, faint but real, scratches, sometimes whispers, sometimes the unmistakable sound of someone dragging their feet. At first I thought I was imagining things, but then, one night, as I lay awake, I heard it clearly. 3 knocks on the inside of the locked door. Slow, deliberate, 1, 2, 3. I froze. The knocks didn't come again. My heart beat so loudly I thought it might burst. I pressed my face into the pillow, too afraid to even breathe. The next morning I asked one of the old maids about it. She turned pale, her lips trembling. Never ask about that room again, child, she whispered. Some doors are locked not to keep us out, but to keep what's inside from coming out. Her words settled in my chest like cold stones. For weeks I tried to ignore it, but every night the noises grew stranger. Sometimes I heard crying, soft weeping like a woman in despair. Other nights there was laughter. Low, cruel laughter that made my skin crawl. And once, just once, I swear I heard my name being called from behind the door. Mara. It whispered. Yes, that was my name. Amara. I sat upright in bed, my body trembling like a leaf. My husband snored beside me, undisturbed, as if the voice hadn't filled the entire house. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run, but something inside me kept me still, listening even though every instinct screamed to block my ears. That morning I demanded answers from my husband. At first he denied everything, but when I pressed him, he grew angry. You will not speak of that room again, he snapped, his face pale and his eyes darting toward the stairs. Do not meddle in things you don't understand, Amara, for your own good. But his fear only made mine worse. By then, my curiosity had become unbearable. Fear and fascination danced together inside me, each daring me to take one more step closer to the truth. And so, one afternoon, when everyone was out, my husband gone to the town, the uncle and his wife visiting neighbors, and the servants busy in the garden, I found myself standing before the forbidden door. It looked so ordinary. Just wood, worn with age, a simple brass lock. But I could feel something seeping through, like cold air, like the breath of something waiting. I should have walked away. I should have run. But I didn't. I pressed my ear against the door. At first nothing. Then, ever so faintly, I heard it, breathing. Slow, steady, like someone standing right on the other side. My knees buckled and I stumbled back. But instead of fleeing, I grabbed the handle. It rattled under my touch, as though something on the other side had gripped it at the very same moment. I gasped and let go. My heart thundered, but then I did something foolish. I whispered, "Who's there?" For a moment, silence. Then a voice so close it felt like it was inside my skull whispered back, "Come in." The door shuddered, though the lock held tight. I fled down the stairs, shaking, my breath ragged. The whole day I felt that voice following me, echoing in every corner of the house. That night I dreamt of the room. I dreamt I opened it, and inside was nothing but darkness so thick it swallowed me whole. And in the darkness, 2 eyes glowed red, watching, waiting. I woke up screaming. My husband shook me, demanding what was wrong. I couldn't tell him. I didn't dare. But my fate was sealed. Once you hear the whispers of a locked room, once you feel its hunger, you can never truly walk away. And so it happened. On the 7th night, the door opened by itself. Yes, children, I swear it on my soul. The lock snapped open with a sound like a bone breaking, and the door creaked wide. I watched it from the end of the hallway, my candle trembling in my hand. Something stepped out, but what it was, oh, my dear children, that I shall tell you next. Ah, children, I see your eyes wide, your breaths held. Yes, I promised you the rest, didn't I? Very well, but know this, the tale doesn't end in comfort. That night when the door creaked open, the air in the hallway grew so cold that my candle almost went out. I stood frozen, unable to move, as the darkness inside the room spilled outward like smoke. It wasn't just shadow. It moved like something alive, slithering across the floor, curling up the walls. And then I heard footsteps, slow, heavy, dragging footsteps, as though someone had been locked away for centuries and forgotten how to walk. Out of the darkness came a figure, tall, thin, with arms too long, and a head bent at an unnatural angle. Its face was pale, its eyes hollow pits, yet burning with a faint red glow. It stopped at the doorway. The thing did not speak. It only stared at me. My lips trembled as I whispered a prayer under my breath. But even prayers seemed to vanish in that air, swallowed before they reached heaven. And then, to my horror, it smiled, not a kind smile, not even a human smile. It was the stretching of lips too thin, too wide, revealing teeth like broken glass. I stumbled back. My candle fell, the flame sputtering out. The hall was swallowed in darkness, and in that blackness, it whispered my name again, Mara. I ran. Oh, how I ran! Down the stairs, nearly tripping, heart hammering so loudly I thought it would burst through my chest. I didn't stop until I was outside, gasping in the night air. When the family returned, I told them everything. The uncle's wife slapped her hand over my mouth before I could finish. Do not speak of it aloud, she hissed, her face twisted with fear. You have woken it. Foolish girl, you have woken it. The uncle looked at me with eyes heavy as tombstones. That room should never have been touched, he muttered. It holds the sins of our bloodline. A bargain made generations ago, one that demands silence and sacrifice. I begged them to explain, but they would not. Not fully. Only pieces fell from their trembling lips. A man long ago had sought power. He had called upon something unholy, something that answered from beyond the veil. In return for wealth and protection, he gave it a room, a prison of sorts. The bargain was this: as long as the room remained sealed, the house would prosper. But if the door opened, the thing would be free, and it would claim what it was owed. And now, because of me, the door had been opened. For nights afterward, I could not sleep. Every corner of the house groaned with unseen weight. Shadows stretched where they shouldn't. Mirrors showed faces that weren't mine. Sometimes in the stillness, I could hear the thing wandering the halls, dragging its long limbs across the floor. The servants began leaving one by one. Some claimed they'd seen it watching them from the stairwell. Others refused to stay past dusk. Then, people began to disappear. First, the old maid. She went to fetch water from the well one evening and never returned. They searched the grounds, but there was no trace of her, except her bucket, lying on its side, water spilled into the dirt. Then one of the uncle's nephews, a boy of 12. He vanished from his bed in the night. The sheets were torn, the window locked from the inside. His mother's screams echoed for hours, but the boy was never seen again. The family tried to keep it quiet, whispering prayers, burning incense, calling priests who dared not stay after sundown. But I knew it was the room. The thing had been let loose, and it would not stop until it had taken everything it was promised. One night, I woke to the sound of breathing, not outside the door this time, but right beside my bed. I dared not open my eyes. My body was rigid, every muscle screaming. The air was heavy, so heavy, pressing down on me like stone. And then I felt it, cold fingers brushing against my face, tracing my cheek as though it was studying me. A voice, low and rumbling, whispered, "You are mine now," I screamed. finally breaking free, and the thing vanished into the shadows. But its words stayed with me. Children, do you know what it feels like to live with a shadow in your heart? To wake every day, knowing something unseen follows you, waiting, watching. That was my life for months in that cursed house. Finally, the uncle's wife made a choice. She told me in secret that the house could only be cleansed if someone willingly entered the room and stayed there, locking it once more from the inside. A sacrifice. Someone to take the place of the creature, binding it again within those four walls. I thought she was lying at first, but her trembling hands, her wet eyes told me otherwise. The house will consume us all if it is not fed, she said. Better one life than many. The family argued for days. Some said they would burn the house down. Others said they would flee. But the truth is, you cannot outrun a curse, not one that deep. And then, oh children, this is the part that still haunts me most. The uncle's wife took me aside. She looked at me with such pity, such cold resolve. It should be you, she said. Me? I gasped. Why me? Because you opened the door, she whispered. You broke the seal. The bargain falls upon you. My world crumbled. My husband argued, begged, even threatened to take me away. But the family would not relent. That night, I stood before the room once more. The door was open, waiting. The darkness inside seemed to breathe, pulling at me like an invisible tide. My husband clung to me, tears in his eyes. Don't do this, he begged. We'll run away together. But I knew running would not save us. So I kissed his forehead, whispered my love, and stepped inside. The air was thick, choking. The darkness swallowed me whole. The door slammed shut behind me, the lock clicking into place. And there, in that endless dark, I saw it, the figure, taller than before, eyes burning brighter, smiling with cruel delight. You are mine now, it said again. I thought I was lost. I thought my soul would be consumed, but then I did something it did not expect. I prayed, not aloud, but deep, deep in my heart. I called upon every ancestor, every spirit of light, every shred of goodness I had ever known. The thing screamed. Oh, how it screamed! Its voice shook the walls, split the ground, sent cracks across the ceiling. But I did not stop. I prayed until my lips bled, until my voice broke. And slowly, slowly, the darkness began to fold inward, dragging the figure with it. The more it fought, the smaller it became, until at last it was sucked back into the very heart of the room. The silence that followed was heavier than any scream. And then, I fainted. When I woke, I was outside. My husband and the others were gathered around me, their faces pale, their eyes wide with disbelief. The room was sealed once more. The door would not open again. The house grew quiet after that. The shadows lifted, the whispers stopped. Life, for a time, returned to normal. But children, the mark never left me. I still feel its fingers on my skin at night. I still hear its laughter in my dreams, and sometimes, when the wind howls just right, I swear I can hear it knocking. 3 times. Always 3 times. So if you ever find yourself in a house with a locked room, remember my words. Some doors must never ever be opened, because once you do, you can never truly close them again.